Certainly, one of the biggest requirements that I think we're seeing have a lot to do with cleanliness, keeping our buildings clean, disinfecting, certainly washing your hands, and then equally important is the recommendation to wear masks. Really trying to follow what the CDC has placed for guidelines for opening schools, and that's what we continue to follow and recommend to our staff and to our students and parents.
And of course, there has been some controversy about mandating mask usage. The universities are asking that students wear masks and staff. What can the school districts do, and how does that counter with what the state wants to be done?
So currently, there's a debate on and a court case around when the state legislator's law becomes enacted. In other words, there was a law that was passed in the last legislative session that said that school districts could not mandate vaccines and could not mandate the use of masks for students. We started the year in compliance and asking that it be highly recommended that students wear masks. Phoenix Union was the first district to require masks, and subsequently there was a lawsuit that was filed. That lawsuit has kind of placed a tentative hold on that law, pending the technicality that the law doesn't go into effect until September 29th. So our governing board decided that they wanted to follow the CDC guidelines, and because we had that window, we are now requiring masks of all students and staff up until when that legislation becomes law, which is, again, tentatively scheduled for September 29th, depending on what the outcome of the lawsuit will be.
And I would imagine you and other superintendents are hopeful that the case goes in your favor insofar as allowing the school districts to decide whether they should mandate masks.
I think the local control issue is something that we all superintendents want that ability to do, particularly when it comes to health standards and different community transmission rates, right? You have a federal agency that's recommending the use of masks in schools, yet you've got different states who are saying that we cannot mandate masks. And at this point, I definitely defer more to our federal health agencies and to local control.
Another contentious point to consider is vaccinations. Are you asking that your employees be vaccinated, mandating that they be vaccinated?
We are not. We are not mandating a vaccination right now. There's certainly difference of opinion. There's different folks that feel differently about the vaccine in terms of their own personal health. Right now, it's not a requirement. It does not. It's not something that we're looking at mandating here in our district.
And as far as socializations, team sports, after school activities, and so on, how are they moving along this new semester?
So it was great. We had our first rivalry game between Sunnyside and Desert View on Friday. Very well attended. It's outdoors, so outdoors we recommend that people still use masks. It's not required, not even in our current recommendation is for indoor use only for the use of masks. So outdoors, the outdoor activities, people are wearing masks to feel comfortable in that. It was very well attended. People were following a lot of those rules. Indoor activities are going to require masks even for our athletic events as well. And we're trying to limit attendance in the indoor activities because that's where you have a closed, confined places. But outdoors, it was great to have our first football game in over 2 years.
And how confident are you that COVID is being kept at bay? For example, I noticed on your website that you currently have 3 staff positive cases when it comes to COVID and about 73 students who tested positive, most of them in the high school. Is that, you think, because of their age and they're more active to engage in riskier behavior?
I think there's more independence with high school students, so they're around a lot more kids. We have larger schools as well, and so their interaction with more people is just kind of more common as they get older and they become more independent in how they spend their free time. I think that's a big deal. We on the onset, when we first opened schools, we were dealing with a lot more cases, specifically trying to make sure we're doing contact tracing, doing all the things necessary to notify folks when we found positive cases. They seem to have tapered off over the last week. We'll see what happens because of the Labor Day weekend if we see another uptick. But we've sort of flatlined and have begun to see a little bit of tapering off in the number of cases. So that's a good sign.
And then finally, what would you ask parents or the community at large to do to help you in your mission?
I think just to, be patient with us as we make changes and decisions. Some of it is our reaction to policy. Some of it is our reaction to state and local health standards that, quite frankly have changed over the course of this last 17 months for us. And so sometimes it feels like we have weekly decisions. So I ask for your patience and ask that you help us follow health and safety guidelines, and that we kind of find some agreement, even though we may have opposing viewpoints around this virus, that we find agreement specific for our students and for our community, that they see us really trying to come together to beat this thing and to get through this and to get back to a semblance of normal that people want so desperately.
Superintendent Steve Holmes, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.